Has it. DeMoss, the steal for three. Buried! Joey DeMoss. The far side. Timmons blocked again. Daly, top of the key, spinning. Daly up and one. What a play. Position Epps to Valentine. Yes, sir. Mackay with another. Corrado left, block up, and one. The Graphics up by one, now down by two. It's Davis again. Zion again. He cannot miss. Now it's Terza for the lead. Got it. Picked off. That's RJ Sledge. Sledge pulls up. Sledge and one. RJ Sledge, incredible.
Welcome into another episode of the Valley Sports Guys podcast, live from His Place Coffee Community and more in Monessen. I'm Jose Negron, joined by Jeremy Salou and Alex Lyons for episode number 98 of the VSG podcast, as we inch closer and closer to special episode number 100. Glad to have you on board and with us here on this Wednesday morning from His Place. And guys, excited for another episode, excited for some basketball talk, and got a lot to discuss.
Yeah, great night of basketball last week.
If you say so.
You say so. Yeah, good night of basketball last night, though. Some big games.
Yeah.
Big game? Upsets?
Some big games, some upsets. We had some non-section matchups on the girls' side that we can be excited about. But we'll get started here and just go down today's newspaper. If you haven't picked up a copy of today's Bond Valley Independent, what are you doing? It's 12/17 and you haven't picked up a copy. I mean, your day would be a lot better if you do. So I would definitely encourage you to do so. But Sarah Catholic, a big victory over South Park in non-section play last night. Wasn't the start that the Sarah Catholic Eagles wanted, as they trailed 19-5 early in the first quarter. 15-1 run for the South Park Eagles in their 21-point first quarter. But Sarah Catholic, resilient, a group of seniors that have been in tough situations before, and they know how to handle adversity, and that first 14-point first quarter deficit was nothing to them, as they were able to get a dramatic 36-35 win over South Park on the road. At the end, South Park did have an opportunity. Haley Bennett with a shot at the end. No foul called on Bree Battles, and Sarah able to hold on for the win. But, this is the type of game that, I was able to interview both sides and talk to Coach Mike Voigt from Sarah Catholic and our old buddy Matt Loftus from South Park, former Elizabeth Forward head coach on the boys' side and a Sarah Catholic graduate. And I feel like this is a game that's going to help both of these teams. Obviously, South Park is at 10-6 over in Class 3A, one of the better teams in their section. Of course, they play local teams with Charleroi Yock. So this is, I think, a matchup that's going to help them moving forward. And obviously, Sarah Catholic's played in some tough non-section games as well. And it's going to help them, I feel like, as they go towards the end of the regular season and into the 2A playoffs.
I've come to a conclusion about you, though. I mean, I know you have this affinity for your Nate McLouth jersey that you wear to every Pirate game you go to, pretty much. I think that if you could get your hands on a Sarah Catholic Matt Loftus
100%, yep,
you would sport that maybe to bed every night.
Oh, I mean, I wouldn't. I'm not a weirdo.
I mean, not
Jeremy.
thinking Coach Loftus. Coach Loftus is an awesome dude. I kind of wish he'd, end up at Bell Vernon somehow one day to coach my kid. But, I think that would be fitting for you.
I mean, I think that, the guy was a state champion in baseball, so why not, But I won't wear it.
No participation trophies at Sarah Catholic.
No. But, I mean, I wouldn't wear it to bed. I'd support him.
You wear it around the house in the evening, then take it off to go to bed. Doesn't want it to get it wrinkled.
No,
That's true.
Yeah.
For wearing it the next day.
That's right.
For wearing it the very next day.
All right. Jeez. Show support for our guy. Jeez.
He is our guy.
Go support the team.
Anyways, where were we in terms of talking about?
I don't know. It just
It took a little bit of a turn.
That's all right.
But yeah, I mean, this is I think a game that's going to help both of these teams. I don't know if you guys have thoughts on that at all.
No, I think it's a big game. You know, when you go through a section, kind of, I feel like that Sarah's in. Besides GCC and them, there's not much competition. I think below those schools, really, it seems like in that section. So when you go out of conference and take on a team like a South Park that's good, that you can get a really good competitive game that you're going to have to be like when you get to the playoffs, I think that's an absolutely invaluable piece of experience that's going to be put on the floor. So when it is playoff time, you know, it's not your first close game of the season. And obviously, they did that against Thomas Jefferson. They did that now against South Park. I think that's going to help them be battle-tested once the playoffs roll around. And even to that second meeting with Greensburg Central Catholic, even though the first meeting went the way of the Centurions, you know, second meetings can always change, even if it goes on the road. And we'll talk about, you know, same thing can be said about the boys' side.
Right, and I think the biggest thing for Sarah in this one is they had to overcome more than just a big early deficit. You know, they had to. You know, they were trailing by 14 in the first quarter, and then at the end of the game, you know, you're having to, you know, throughout the game they had to scratch and claw. I mean, they limited South Park after 21 points in the first quarter to 2 in the second, which, I mean, the way that South Park was shooting in the first, I didn't think that would be possible. So, you know, credit to Sarah's defense for locking down, credit to South Park's defense for the way that they were able to limit this Sarah Catholic offense in the opening quarter, and it was just an all-around good game. I mean, it was low scoring, but, you know, two teams that were very solid on the defensive end of the floor, didn't shoot super lights out, especially in those last 3 quarters. But definitely a victory that Sarah Catholic can enjoy as they move forward with the rest of their season.
I think one of the other things too is I think it's as low as the numbers are for Sarah Catholic, they're still getting contributions from everybody. A lot of times last year it was Bree Battles, Kate Clark, everybody else. I think now you're getting Abby Jenis, you're getting Kate, you're getting Spanos. You know, sometimes it's Bree. You know, they're still getting balance in the scoring column.
They're averaging, 4 or 5 in double digits a night, it seems like?
Yeah, at least. And if they're not in double digits, they're really close.
Yeah, I think last night they had Spanos had all 13 of hers in the first half, and then I think Clark had maybe 8. And
right.
You know.
And I got to give Jeff Helsel credit. That picture of Kate that we ran on B1 today is a great photo. Mm-hmm. I was looking for one of Spanos. Usually we try to get the leading scorers or big contributors into the photos, but obviously you could always look on the photo galleries and, you know, pick out your pictures and feel free to buy them. But you know, I think that the balance is something that, you know, Sarah Catholic and GCC both have. I mean, for GCC, I think they're a little bit more high scoring, but now Sarah Catholic's the defensively. You know, I think they're due for another showdown. I think, but next week I think they play.
And I also look at it this way, Jeremy. You know, GCC's had a pretty big injury since that last game.
Well, she's back.
But I mean, it's still one of those.
We don't know
things.
how 100%. I mean, exactly. She's not 100% yet. So
I mean, even there has to be some sort of in the back of the mind. That's not an easy thing with how scary that kind of looked from the beginning there, that knee injury. But you know, obviously. Is she the same player she was the first meeting? That's yet to be seen. Right.
And if I'll tell you what, that first meeting, I covered that game at Sarah Catholic. If Sarah Catholic doesn't get off to a bad start, it's kind of similar to what they did against South Park. I mean, I think they're very much in position to win that game. So, you know, luckily last night, I mean, obviously, you know, not knocking our buddy Coach Loftus's team, but, you know, South Park isn't GCC yet. So, I think what it was is just GCC in that game. They just had so much scoring. Erica Gribble was fantastic. They were just able to hold off Sarah Catholic, which, you know, South Park wasn't able to do last night.
Yeah, going to be interesting to see what Sarah is able to do the second time around against GCC. Next matchup, I believe, is Monday night, correct?
I believe it is
Monday night. I'm not sure if there's a time on that.
No, there wasn't a time yet.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's probably 6:30, 7:30.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if they're – I mean, there was a JV game the last time they played. GCC kind of wiped them out. But we'll see. We'll announce it. It'll be in our schedule as soon as we get it. I could actually look if you guys want to pick up the conversation.
You really look at the 3 losses Sarah's had this year. I mean, 2 of them have been in non-section play to Aquinas Academy and St. Joseph, both by 4 points. So they've been in those games. And then they have the GCC loss by 13. But, you know, non-section schedule that has – it's not like super overwhelming. I mean, they've beaten teams like Ambridge, Wash High, Sewickley, a big win against Elizabeth Forward, who is, I think, one of the better teams over in 4A.
Oh, absolutely.
Early in the season. I know it was early in the year, so like EF wasn't. I think that was actually EF's last loss.
So
if I'm not
Monday's
mistaken.
game is at 7:30. There will be a JV game.
Okay.
So.
But Sarah's been able to play some pretty tough non-section games. Obviously got a victory over 5A Thomas Jefferson. Getting that win last night against South Park. So it seems like Sarah's built a pretty decent resume. They've gotten some close wins against some good teams and have been in those close games that they'll inevitably experience once the postseason arrives. But battle-tested Sarah team like we see every year, it seems like. So we'll roll through the rest of our games from last night. Of course, Jeremy, you had action over in Perry. The Fraser girls with a loss to the Monessen girls. And you mentioned how rebounding was such a big key in this one. And, it seemed like Monessen really dominated on the boards. 46-35 win for them as Avanti Stitch leads the way with 19 points, 10 off of offensive rebounds.
Monessen does what they do, pressure defense, score off a transition, and rebound the basketball with Myasia Majors and Avanti Stitch underneath the hoop. They're tough. Haley Johnson as well. Haley was outside a little bit more because Maddie Johnson's still recovering from an ankle injury. She played limited time. And Coach Bass knew coming in for Fraser that was going to be an issue, and he wasn't exactly disappointed. It was just bringing the physicality up with his girls. Still a very young team. With the exception of Gabby McGavitt, Chloe Harger's only a sophomore, Allie Yawk only a sophomore, Melena Burton only a sophomore. So I think, Monessen took that physicality to him, and that was the difference. But, the Commodores never gave up. They did turn it over 12 times. When you're still in a position to come back in the game down 12 at half, but when you come out and you commit 12 or 13 turnovers in the second or in the third quarter, makes it tough to come back from. But they never quit. They cut it down to 11, like I said, seconds before the final buzzer went off. Allie Yawk was able to get a couple steals, and I think she scored the last 6 points of the game to cut it down to 11. But, Coach Bass said he liked the fight. And for Monessen, Coach Vertachnik, not very happy with the way, with as many layups as they missed. They missed a ton of layups. Luckily, Stitch and Majors were there for some putback baskets. Second chance points were huge. But, Coach Bass, I like the attitude he's brought to the Commodores. I mean, he wants to win the games they're supposed to win. He was hoping he can get a little bit of an upset win last night. But he likes the effort, and, he's realistic about the fact that this team's only a bunch of sophomores. I mean, they're young. They're still learning. They took a tough loss to Bentworth the other night. But it was a factor that these girls are learning how to win those games, and they were up late and they let the lead slip away. So learning how to win is an important facet for them.
Yeah, and I think it's two teams that are kind of in different directions. Monessen obviously has big goals, in their classification, and Fraser is building towards maybe being at that point, where they have some expectations of making the playoffs and being, one of the top teams there. So big win for Monessen in non-section play last night. Charleroi on the boys' end continues their struggles. They've now lost 3 straight games, 6 of their last 8 after a 68-34 loss to Washington. And we kind of knew that, Charleroi was going to have some struggles, not a ton of height. Just different things that, have played into it. But, anytime you're playing Wash High, it's always a tough matchup. But tough loss for Charleroi as their losing streak hits 3 straight games. Isaiah Petty with his 1,000th career point. Got to give him a shout-out in Sarah Catholic's loss to Greensburg Central Catholic last night, 61-59 loss on the road. Bill Beckner had coverage for us from the Tribune Review in today's paper. And, Alex, you had a first-hand view over on MVI Live, but tough loss for Sarah Catholic against the second-ranked Centurions.
I put it this way. If Sarah plays the way they played last night the rest of the season, look out for the Eagles the rest of the way. If they play like that, they're going to beat Clareton on Friday. They're going to win those next 2 Saturday games they have coming up. This is a Sarah Catholic team that absolutely, if they play like they did last night, it's going to be tough to beat. And they shortened the bench. They got down by 8 early in the second half, but it was timely buckets. Owen Dombrowski hit some big-time buckets. Isaiah Petty hit a lot of big-time buckets in that game. Pete Burke, and the Eagles had a chance to win at the end. They got an opportunity with Pete Burke taking a shot at the buzzer after Dombrowski kind of had a ball knocked out of his hands. Riley maybe got a little handsy, and then a foul on the near side. Could have been a technical too. I mean, the entire GCC team and students stormed the floor with about 4 seconds left on the clock. So that was something the Sarah bench asked for. They were not granted, and you imagine that changes the game. But, it was really impressive the way Sarah Catholic came back. You saw them get down by 8 early on in that third quarter, and you kind of thought, okay, well, here it goes again. Here's another loss. And then, Isaiah Petty got sprung all alone. Dombrowski or Burke, I can't remember which one had the steal, and it was Petty all alone from the top of the key and just laid it in for his 1,000th point at that point. He only had 4 points going into the third quarter, and Sarah Catholic went on a 12-0 run, 14-2 run to end that third quarter. And it all started with Isaiah Petty knocking down his 1,000th point, and he ended up going on with 7 of those 12 points on that run for Petty. Dombrowski, big-time threes in that game as well. As Sarah Catholic, again, I think that's a team that's going to be tough to play against if they can play like that night in and night out. I don't see them losing another section game if they come with that same intensity that they did last night.
And I think at times they've really been searching for last year you have their top 3 scorers right now in Pete Burke and Owen Dombrowski and Isaiah Petty. You also had Joey DeMoss. You also had Elijah Ward. And I think that they're still searching for more of that balance.
Is Brendan Cooley, which they've been missing since he graduated 2 years ago. They don't have that true big, yeah. And when you got a guy like Franco Alvarez on the other side, and who's an absolute unit for GCC, I mean, that's tough. Tyree Turner, obviously, you know what you're going to get with him, but they don't have that size to match up with a guy like Franco Alvarez. I mean, right. Jadell Minifield, big, strong kid football player, but he's still not the tallest of individuals. So, I mean, he can only do so much. Sapita, I think, still a little raw. We didn't even see him play last night. Sapos wasn't even there. He's played very, very, very limited minutes for Coach Corso since coming back to Sarah Catholic. But, it's a team, I think they're trending in the right direction to finish this year the right way. And you look at it, they got hot at the right time last year and made a run in the playoffs, I think, when people didn't expect them to be able to.
I'm pretty sure they were the last team playing
amongst
our Mon Valley teams. So it's pretty impressive.
So I think that's a team, that they can build a lot from that game, even though it's a loss. And right now they're sitting outside the playoffs looking in, but they have had a number of games postponed. And, again, I look for them to be trending in the right direction after last night. But great to see Isaiah Petty get his 1,000th point, with that. And, it was great actually to see the support that came out. Zach Karp, who Isaiah played baseball with, graduated last year. He was there. Brian Zarenda, the head coach of the Eagles baseball team, came out. I'm pretty sure I saw one of the DeMosses there. It was from the far side of the court, so I couldn't tell which one. But there was a DeMoss there, definitely. And, of course, the Black brothers were there, Max and Zach, and a number of other baseball kids. So they came out, they supported Isaiah, and it was great to see a great road crowd, intense game through and through. A lot of fun to watch that one last night, but that would have been probably still the second biggest upset of the night because the Gladiators downed the number 2 team in 4A last night in Uniontown, coming off back-to-back games.
Yeah, biggest result and game of the night was definitely over in Uniontown is the South Allegheny Gladiators with an upset victory over the Uniontown Red Raiders to hand them their first loss of the season, 54-44 win for South Allegheny. And it was quite simple for Coach Tony DeCenzo, as that was the first time all year that the Gladiators got back to SA basketball. And, obviously holding, Uniontown to 44 points in their gym in that type of environment, I mean, that's a big-time victory for South Allegheny, that a team that really hasn't had their full complement of starters. Only a few times, I'd say, that they've had all 5 of their available starters. I think over an 8-game stretch, Coach DeCenzo said they've only had their top 5 on 2 occasions.
Yeah, with Mike's been hurt a lot throughout the season. And here's the thing, you say they're top 5, but is that even truly their top 5? That was their top 5 coming into the season.
Yeah.
But that's because Camden Lewis is hurt.
Right.
There's going to be games, and this is no offense to Josh Jakowski, who I think is having a fantastic season. And, I know he gives a lot of credit to Dana Zychek and what he did with him over the summer, and we got to see Josh really start to develop. But the reason I say you'd be able to go a 1A, 1B with Jakowski and Camden Lewis, depending on who you're playing.
Yeah.
Because you get some of those bigger body guys, well, that fits Camden's game a little better. You have more of a athletic build type team, that's going to fish more of a Josh Jakowski role, who's played big minutes. He's single-handedly helped them beat Norwin and coming back in that game in double overtime. But you're still missing that key piece who is probably not coming back to maybe the West Mifflin game if they're lucky. That would be probably the first game you could look back, because I heard not till the beginning of February, if not later. So you kind of circle that West Mifflin game at home. Maybe Camden Lewis comes back. Still could be further off from that. I mean, he's been hurt for a long time, and I know you can tell he's eager to get back out on the floor.
Yeah, and I think, they're circling that for sure, but I don't think that this team is looking any further than what they have on tomorrow night.
Oh, no. They want revenge, and Mike didn't play in that. He played, but he played about 30 seconds off the bench.
Right, he hit a shot and then left.
They said there was no way he could finish that game.
Right, so Mihalski had a game high 20 points or 19 last night, and then I think you got Justin Beatty in double figures with 11. Obviously, so much talent there with Drew Cook and Cam Epps as well. But this is going to be a big challenge, and I think they're coming in with some very good momentum after beating a team that I think a lot of people see as one of the favorites in 4A in Uniontown.
I mean, they're the number 2 team ranked for a reason. They went down to Florida and kicked the crap out of teams from all over the country.
And I know, Jameer Braxton had 19 last night. Notorious Grooms had 13. Probably wasn't the best night for those guys. Obviously they're, fully capable of scoring more than that. But, this is a team that's also been playing without Calvin Winfrey. I'm not sure exactly what his status is, but this is a team that is still missing some pieces too. But when they're at full force, I mean, that's a Uniontown team that's incredibly talented. And if you're South Allegheny, you got to be on cloud 9. The fact that you're able to get that win.
And you look at that, you mentioned without having Calvin, of course, that's massive. And when you're going already pretty short Uniontown bench, like Keelan Milsom's going to come up. You have a couple guys coming off the bench, but normally Winfrey and Grooms are out there the entire game, barring foul trouble. Braxton, Kadrian, McLee, I mean, you know what you're going to have for 90% of that game on the floor. And as soon as you take a key piece like Calvin Winfrey out of things, and you're coming on the second of a back-to-back in what was an extremely intense game, which you were losing and had to come back against Southmoreland the night before on the road, to come back in, come home without, again, Winfrey and play a very tough game, which you ended up dropping. But I saw a lot of people complaining from Uniontown. It's like, well, SA just holds the ball. Well, that's SA basketball, first off. You haven't watched a lot of SA play. They've been doing that for years. And sometimes that's their Achilles heel. I mean, let's go back in the semifinals at UPMC at RMU. That's why they lost that game. They got complacent. They should have probably won the championship that year, in my opinion, because they would have got the team they wanted in Shady Side Academy that year. Obviously, you can't dwell on that. But SA's been doing that for years. And if you're Uniontown, going off being on the second half of a back-to-back, you shouldn't want that game to turn into a track meet. That turns into a track meet. I think that extremely hinders the Red Raiders in that game, just because how tired were those guys? I mean, we've all seen Ty Keffer play. That's a physically abusing matchup, whoever was on Keffer all night long. And I'm sure that was probably Kadrian a lot of the time, or Jameer Braxton. I mean, so those two, were banging and beating with Winfrey or with Keffer the night before. And then you have Elliot Primus, a big, strong kid. You have Ronnie Collins, Wyatt Richter, all those guys. I mean, it's a very talented Southmoreland team. There's a reason they've been as good as they have this year. And hopefully we'll see them Friday versus Bell Vernon, internet permitting. But
knock on wood.
It's one of those things. That's not an easy back-to-back coming off of if you're Uniontown, especially without one of your best players. But if you're South Allegheny,
I don't think you're
worried
about that.
You don't care.
Yeah, no,
you went into Uniontown and handed them their first loss of the season.
Yeah, big victory for South Allegheny, team that's had a lot of injuries. They played in a lot of tough games. I mean, I don't think there's any team, I don't even know, not even just around here, but in the Whitfield that has played as many overtime games as South Allegheny has over the last couple weeks. I actually want to look at that if you guys want to.
Norwin, Avonworth.
And all their losses have been within 7 points, I think, was there?
Yeah, I mean,
Quaker
a lot of close
Valley, I
games.
believe, was overtime as well.
Overtime against Avonworth, 67-57.
That was 10 point. They haven't had.
TJ was a 3-point game, and that's a good TJ team.
Montour
They've
was a
played
blowout.
2 double overtime games against Quaker
And
Valley.
that wasn't as
Norwood.
bad as you thought either, too. The Montour game kind of got away late, but again, there was no Mike in that game.
Right.
And when you have almost Josh Dukowski got worn down. I think, again, Michael Mahalski driving to the basket. How many times have we seen Mahalski get right into the chest of a guy?
Yeah,
but so's a beanpole. I don't think he would have lasted up as well against Mike Mahalski.
And you got to give credit to SA because they have played a very tough schedule. They have played a lot of tough teams. You look at even in the MVI Shootout Classic, playing teams like Sarah Catholic, Bell Vernon to start things. They played Elizabeth Ford, who has been pretty solid in 4A. Tough Norwin team, Avonworth, Quaker Valley. Thomas Jefferson, now Uniontown. It's a very tough non-section schedule, and that's exactly what Coach DeCenzo and his group wants. They want to be battle-tested going into the playoffs, especially being now in 4A for the second straight year.
Well, and here's the other key that, I watched a little bit of the game after I got back from my game, but if you're somebody like a Bell Vernon who has an athletic team of their own, South Allegheny kind of showed you the blueprint. And I think the stat they gave was, I think Uniontown was 1 of 17 from three-point range or something, or 1 of 13. Force them to shoot jump shots.
Yeah.
You force them to shoot jump shots. You keep yourself in the game. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to see, Coach Salvino come out and pack in a zone or a little bit. Don't let them get that penetration. We all know, watching in Summer League, Braxton inside is a big part, but then you have Winfrey, who is a good shooter, and, I'm sure that played a role last night, but, Tori Groom shooting the ball as well. I mean, you want those guys to shoot those lower percentage shots. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Salvino pack into a zone, in their next meeting. So, they kind of gave the blueprint. I mean, as great as Uniontown is, I still think, Lincoln Park in 4A obviously is, they're a double-digit winner over Uniontown. But to get there, I mean, Uniontown could very well still roll through everybody. But now in the back of their minds, are they going to run into a South Allegheny again? Or, I mean, even an Avonworth is going to be a tough matchup with the way Carmichael could go.
I almost look at South Allegheny as this year's Bell Vernon from last year, the way they're going to kind of slide into the playoffs, maybe end up as the 3 just because of how the first half went, even though easily could be the number 2 seed out of that section, just how many close games they played if things went their direction. But
I think last night's win will definitely help them in terms of a resume.
When it comes to seeding, it could.
Especially if you do what you're supposed to. If you go out, you beat Avonworth the second time, you beat Quaker Valley the second time, and all of a sudden you're looking really good.
I think tomorrow night is going to be really big.
I think they have to win that game. And even I think they can go on the road and beat Montour personally. Yeah. With a full team. I wouldn't be surprised. I think that's a section anybody can beat anybody on any given night. Just depends what team you're bringing to the floor.
And, you can't downplay the type of confidence a win like this can give a team. I mean, it's been a kind of a bumpy ride for South Allegheny over the last, 6 games. I think prior to last night they had lost 4 of their last 6. But again, those are tough. Those have been tough games against really good opponents. A couple of overtime losses in there. So you can't really downplay what that win last night can do for them. Especially, I mean, I don't think you can ask anything more for SA than to have gotten that win at that time going into this game. I think that's just huge. We'll see if it means anything, though. But anything else you guys wanted to touch on that?
We could talk about the shenanigans after that game last night.
I mean,
we might as well talk about it. The video's out there. There was some extracurricular activities after that game last night with South Allegheny and Uniontown. Some punches thrown. Not sure if I don't think it was between players on each team. It was crowd. I don't
even know if it's worth talking about because I couldn't tell anything that was happening.
There's a couple different angles, and here's my thing. Somebody on Twitter was talking, and I had to respond because I can't keep my mouth shut. So, if you watch the feed from the game, you can see, some fired up SA players after the game, making some gestures towards the crowd. But do we honestly believe that the crowd wasn't doing the same thing? There's two sides, and the South Allegheny players were probably, shouldn't have been doing that. Yes, these are kids. I'm sure the Uniontown student section was doing the same thing. But when you have crowd, I don't know. That's probably not. When you have people in the crowd jumping over the side of the bleachers to stop the team from getting into their own locker room, then it becomes an issue.
That's pretty far fall.
That's pretty much what happened.
I saw one video, and I mean, you could tell obviously that there was a scuffle,
a scrum.
But you could not tell anything. I couldn't tell who anybody was or what was happening, or if it was SA player, what anything was going on. But unfortunate. I mean, it's an unfortunate thing. You never want to see any of that happen. I mean, that's just not something that should happen at all.
Not at all.
At a high school sporting event. I mean, these are kids. They're battling hard. I mean, I know the emotions can get the best of them. I mean, but. Yeah, those things shouldn't happen, and I don't know if there was any adults involved or anything like that, but that definitely shouldn't happen. But I don't know. I don't know what else you would say about it.
I don't know. Just don't sit there and just blame one side. I don't care if you're from. SA is our home team in that situation. They were wrong. We'll say it.
Absolutely.
If there's a kid flashing a finger, but I highly doubt all the fingers coming out of the one section of crowd was telling SA they were number one now because they beat Uniontown.
Right. I mean, I think when those things happen, there are two sides to a story and two things that get involved. And obviously, we're speaking from.
But don't worry, the
outside of just what we saw.
The WPIL will get the video and they will make them do a sportsmanship summit, and all will be okay. That's what's going to happen.
Fair enough, I guess.
Back at it. All right. Sportsmanship Summit, we're good. Okay. That's good.
I think you should lead the
Sportsmanship
Summit.
I should. I really should. I should probably take part in a couple.
But we'll roll through the rest of our roundup from last night. Carrick, a 72-42 victory over California. South Fayette defeats Thomas Jefferson 71-56. Stunner in that one. Michael Plasko with a game-high 30 points for South Fayette. Non-section game, so it doesn't really entirely hurt Thomas Jefferson. Still on a good track, only now 12-3 on the season. Big matchup on Friday night as they face Peters Township. I believe we'll have coverage of that. I believe you're sending somebody over there. I don't remember on the
I don't know, because
off the top of my head,
something's come up that I don't think I can cover my game Friday, which was the Clairton-Sarah game. So I might have to adjust some scheduling.
Well, we did initially have Adam going to that one, Thomas Jefferson at Peters Township.
I think Adam might still be going there, unless he's available to go, because I think two local – well, I don't know.
We'll see.
I don't know. I might shift you. I don't know. We'll see.
All right.
We'll figure it out.
We'll figure that out. But
we'll have a couple games covered on Friday.
For
Don't
sure.
worry about it.
Clairton with a 61-51 victory over Riverview. They trailed by 4 at the half before outscoring Riverview 26-9 in the third quarter of that victory. Terrace Wooding with a team-high 21 points. Bryant Blair with 12. Fort Cherry 77-51 over Bentworth. And then as well on the boys' side, West Mifflin 61-57 over Ringgold, and Peters Township 89-61 over Elizabeth Ford. On the girls' side of things, Southmoreland 41-37 over Bentworth, and then we had a couple of games that were a little late on Monday that we put in today's roundup to recap the Monday's action. In California, 45-38 victory in the Greco Sabalek Bowl. I have coined it that, and it will stay that for the remainder of time. Rakaya Porter with 21 points, including 10 in the fourth quarter. Haley Gibson with a 13-point showing in that victory. And then Yock with a 64-46 win over Ligonier Valley. Autumn Matthews, 32. Carly Fitzgibbons with 16 points for the Cougars. That recaps all of last night's action. A lot of stuff going on.
Yeah.
A lot of good teams on both sides. But I mean, anything that's kind of stood out to you over the last week that we want to have a topic of discussion?
I just think you're going to start to see teams buckle down now. I mean, that second half.
you've seen it
The
once.
second half of the section seasons are always tough because teams have seen you. They know what you want to do.
Right.
We mentioned teams like South Allegheny boys, Sarah Catholic girls, when you could have TJ boys even. When you can have some balance and some spread out scoring, those are obviously going to be the tougher teams at this point in the year. But I'm looking forward to the playoff runs and see what some of these teams can do.
Yeah, and I think too, I actually talked to Caitlin Slagus on Monday after their game against Ringgold just about that. A young team, a young Bell Vernon team that's been taking some lumps that, they're kind of learning along the way. But how much is it going to help that group going into the second half of the season? Now they know what to expect. Now that they know, all right, the second time around we've seen these teams once. How can we improve the next time around? And I think that's something for every team. You've seen teams now once every time around, and now you can kind of prepare for what to expect in the second matchup. So I think it's big for young teams like Bell Vernon. But those veteran teams are also going to be prepared for that second matchup as well. Also, Delana wanted to give a big shout out to Evan Berger for breaking the all-time leading scoring record in boys or girls basketball, Thomas Jefferson. So shout out to Evan once again on that. A lot of good things happen here in the Valley.
Look at Delana paying attention.
I know. Delana, what do you want us to talk about? Give us some topics. Give us some things you want us to discuss. I feel like at this point in the season, we talk about what we want to in a 30-minute span, and then we're like, we kind of want to keep this going, but we've
got it down to a science at this point.
We do.
We do.
We're getting there.
I mean,
after 98 episodes,
we might as well.
We're finding our stride.
Now we're finding our stride. We might as well talk about next week because we are going to do things a little different. We're going to have a show Wednesday, but we're also going to have a show Monday. Episode number 99 will be on Monday, 12:30 here at his place, and that will allow us to have episode number 100 on Wednesday.
Time to be determined.
Time TBD. We'll have a time for Wednesday's 100th episode in the coming days. We'll actually probably know later today, and then we'll announce it when we have that. But episode number 100 will be in a special location over at Remix by Steel City Collectibles in Bell Vernon. We will have a special episode and encouraging everybody who's been a part of the Valley Sports Guys podcast to be in attendance. We're going to try and see what time we can do it. Maybe we can do it later in the day, and that way it's not like in the middle of a work day, and we can actually have people come and hang out with us. But yeah, it's a special thing. I'm excited to celebrate 100 episodes. I mean, this has been a very long journey of introducing this aspect of our sports coverage, and has been so much fun to have, and just as another branch of our coverage where we can only talk about so much on broadcasts or in the paper, and this gives us another outlet to do that. So we're very proud of this product in particular and what we've been able to do with it. And we definitely encourage everybody who's been a part of it, everybody who's watched, everybody who's supported us to show up on Wednesday. Like we said, TBD on the time, but we're excited. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah.
That's the spirit.
That's the spirit. No, I'm excited for it. It's been a long 100 episodes. I mean, it's been a long way there. So
I know you're just looking forward to the Outer Banks episode, Jose.
I am looking forward to that.
It will also be the Farewell Jose episode.
Yes, it will be my final episode of the Valley Sports Guys podcast. So, gonna be an emotional one, I'm sure. I'll try and hide it as much as I can. But yeah, gonna be a fun day over at Steel City Collectibles Remixed. Very supportive of the Mon Valley Independent and what we've been able to do here, and we've, I think, supported them a lot as well. They've been
they got lots of my money.
I think we've been there more than a few times, the three of us.
Much to my wife's chagrin,
yes.
They got a lot of my money.
I did a lot of Christmas shopping there. Have done a lot of trade-ins. Have been a very big fan of the trading card section over at Remixed.
My jerseys are there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
sold some jerseys.
Very big fans of them, and they're I think very big fans of us as well. So excited to have episode 100 over there. We'll have more details in the coming days, but yeah, definitely hope that you all can join us next Wednesday for that one. But we'll have episode number 99 for you on Monday. I don't know what we'll talk about, just random stuff, things that happen over the weekend. Stuff and things.
Stuff and things. Looking ahead to some college basketball, though. We got Cal U at home. This is the first time I don't think we'll be at either one of the games tonight.
Yeah.
The women and men, the Vulcans will host Pitt Johnstown, the Noah Yarton University.
The Pitt Johnstown fighting Noah Yartons.
The fighting Yartons, he's not there anymore, and they're 5-12. So, coincidence? I think not. But men at 7:30, women at 5:30. Cal U men, half a game behind Gannon, who they beat the snot out of once already this year. Cal coming off their bye week, I guess, so to speak. So they'll be back in action tonight, sitting in second place in the PSAC West, and the women sitting in third place in the PSAC West, and half a game ahead of Pitt Johnstown. So that women's game's a big game tonight for the Vulcans. So I'll probably be watching that one, unless I do indulge in some wing night.
There you go.
So there was a wing night invitation.
There was
today. So but go check out the Vulcans. I think it's a shame because that is especially the men's side and the women's side. I mean, those two teams are fun to watch, especially the men's team. I mean, they're high flying up and down the court. It's real exciting to watch. It's a good brand of basketball. Coach Danny Sankum has done a great job, resurrecting the Vulcans program. I know I think next week's IUP week, the first IUP week of the year. I think they go there next week. But and women, we know what the women's team has done. Jess Strom's bomb, 2 national titles, worth seeing. So get down and check them out, especially if you have little ones. You want to watch basketball games. I mean, I take advantage as a youth league coach. Just have them go watch the games. It's a fun time.
And I think, I think more people should go down and watch that basketball. I mean, the way that both of those teams are playing. The men's team, I mean, Danny Sankum has turned it around, has really allowed it to be it's now his program, and he's done so much to make it better. I mean, I remember when I was a student there and just all 4 years I was there, they were struggling, So to see the way that he's turned things around has been incredible. Jess Strom does the same thing every year. I mean, she's fantastic. So consistent as a coach, and everybody wants to play for her. I mean, she's
right. And in all seriousness, if you have a team like I do, reach out to them.
Yeah, they're more than welcome to do that.
They're welcoming. My Leopards went again this year. I think it's the third year in a row. Got a nice little tour of the locker room after. Took pictures with the team. It was a great time. It was a great experience for the little ones. And they get to watch competitive basketball. So it's a great resource to have down there as well.
Yeah.
I mean, it's huge.
Yeah, definitely make your way down to the Convocation Center to watch some good basketball. And if you're not watching college basketball and you're wanting to watch some high school basketball, we'll have you covered on MVI Live as per usual. And
a lot of game or double game tomorrow.
Yeah, double game tomorrow over at South Allegheny with those games over at Avonworth. You're not going to want to miss the men's game by any means. I feel like that's going to be one of the best games of the night, really in any classification. And then we'll have some coverage on Friday night as well, right?
And as now Southmoreland Bow Vernon.
And the special appearance on MVI Live of Mr. Caitlin Slagus.
Yeah.
Head coach Nick Dazon of Avonworth will be featured on MVI Live. So I'm sure Caitlin, and she won't be watching. They have a game.
They have a game, yeah. I think she'll be busy. But
5:30 for the first game.
Maybe on the bus. Maybe she'll watch it on the bus.
Yeah, maybe. 5:30 on the first game, 7 on the second.
Yep, hopefully.
Yep, I will be there to have coverage of the men's or the boys game. So excited to see that one, and actually my first time seeing SA boys this year. So excited
you didn't see
to
them
see
at the tournament.
I didn't cover their game. I was obviously there, but I did not cover their game. So this will be my first SA game that I'm covering this year. So excited to see them in action, and which should be a very tightly contested Section 4 4A matchup on the boys' side.
You know what?
So.
It's funny, though, because every time we say that about a game, it's usually a blowout one way or another.
Yeah.
You know?
I'm hoping it's not. I'm hoping it's a good game.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be a good game.
I actually went, talking to Coach Loftus and Ronnie Drennan last night.
Yeah.
Ronnie asked me, "What's the best game you covered this year?" I'm like, and I've covered quite a few duds. Some lopsided ones, whether it was our local team winning or not. But that EF Bell Vernon game last week, probably one of the better ones I've covered this year. Last night was definitely up there too. So
I'm telling you, I've been on a heater of good games lately.
Yeah, you keep saying that, and I'm a little.
So tomorrow's going to be awful. So tomorrow's going to suck because I've been on such a good stretch here.
Well, good. I'm glad that I'm paired with you. Then.
So something's got to give, Jose.
Well, let's hope it's not tomorrow.
Well, hear me out. We got 2 games tomorrow. One can be a blowout. One can be tight, maybe. Who knows?
You never know.
Looking at the rest of the coverage schedule, we'll start with tonight. The Fraser at Charleroi. I know Adam Brewer will have coverage of that.
Adam and Jen will be there.
Connellsville McKeesport, Liam Bellin will have coverage of that. He'll be over there with Jeff Helsel for the girls' game. Tomorrow, of course, the South Allegheny doubleheader. We'll have pictures for our roundup of the first game, and then I'll have coverage alongside Mike Darnay for the boys' game. Liam Bellin will head over to Charleroi for the girls' matchup against Waynesburg, and Adam Brewer will be over at Monessen for the matchup against Geibel. And then Friday,
I'm sure Chad will be texting us tomorrow night. Why are you guys covering this game? Oh, man. Sorry, buddy.
But yeah, and then Friday's kind of TBD. We'll see what happens.
It's going to shift. I mean, thanks to somebody leaving, I got stuff going on that requires attention. So I haven't been able to cover a lot of games lately. It bums me out. I like going to games, although I've also been sick. So, as you can tell by my Darth Vader.
Yeah, that's why
voice.
he's bummed out. He doesn't want to admit that he's going to miss me.
I'm still trying to figure out if I'm mad at you or hurt. So let's just leave it at that.
Mad, hurt, sad, all the above.
All the above.
We could talk about that on episode number 100. That'll be where we can air. You have so many grievances. I feel like that you have to air because you have not been doing it.
I can't.
That it might all come out episode number 100.
If I air the grievances, we're going to need that little beeper button.
Nope. It's my last episode. You can do whatever you want.
Yeah, right. Oh, I can't wait till the text messages I would get after that.
Do we have a bleacher creature for this week?
We do have a bleacher creature this week.
We'll take a look at that before we wrap things up here.
I sent to the bleachercreature@gmail.com or whatever the address is. I don't know. Don't send emails to the bleachercreature at that address.
I mean, you can, but you're not going to get a response.
You can, but you might not. Although he's probably creating it right now.
I think it's on AOL.com, right?
It's at MySpace. Visit his MySpace page if you want to get in touch with him.
Yeah, Bleacher Creature's a big MySpace guy.
Find his top 5.
It's nice to see we're in his top 8. That's what I'm excited about. Shoot, I lost it. Hold on.
Man, top
there
8.
it is. There it is. Okay. Again, these are the words of the Bleacher Creature, not myself. Although I'm sure I probably repeated these similar. The Bleacher Creature has been floating around to different gyms for both girls and boys hoop games this year, and I've noticed one common thing. Parents sitting behind their own team bench and trying to outcoach their own coach. Athletic directors, superintendents, whoever has the power like snap. I know that all schools cannot do this, but there needs to be a setup where nobody can sit behind the team benches. Shout out Charleroi. Yeah. Anyway, I have witnessed on more than one occurrence where a coach had to take his attention away from what he should be doing to tell a parent or someone sitting behind the bench that he can handle the coaching duties. Just a thought, maybe some of these coaches would stay around a little bit longer. Until next week.
The Bleacher Creature.
BC out.
BC.
We still have a few Bleacher Creature t-shirts if anybody's interested. Just saying.
Yeah, they're on sale.
Yeah, Jose didn't even buy one.
Nah.
Anyway.
Just
so shout out to the Bleacher Creature. I didn't tell him that he's going to need something for Monday and Wednesday next week. So.
Yeah, it's going to have to be a double feature for the Bleacher Creature.
Alex, is there a way if the Bleacher Creature would make an appearance on Wednesday that we could blur him out or do the old black dot?
What do you have to
not
his face?
What do you have to blur him out for? He's a creature.
I mean, we could just run a mic to the creature of the bleacher.
That's true.
You can do one of those voice changer things.
Yeah.
I don't know how loud that was for them, and I apologize.
It wasn't that bad.
Okay.
But it's like he's in witness protection. So we'll do the shadow, and I'll come in and turn the light on. And But anyway, yeah, so the Bleacher Creature, shout out to him for keeping parents on their toes.
Yeah. Also, I just want to give a shout. This has nothing to do with Valley Sports, but Hall of Fame members in Major League Baseball were announced, and got to give congratulations to Joe Mauer.
I'm sure Joe Mauer's tuned in,
Beltre.
too.
Yeah, Joe Mauer's probably watching. Adrian Beltre and Todd Helton, I think, very deserving.
Now, Jose.
All three.
Here, now you're bringing up baseball. You gonna hook up the Pirates, get them watching some MVI live?
No.
No.
Well, why not?
I mean,
Please no.
I don't know if that would work. I don't know if they would actually listen to what I have to say.
No, I'm not talking about you. Just have them tune in.
No, that's what I mean. I don't know if they would actually. If I say like, oh yeah, you should watch MVI live, they'd be like, oh yeah.
Nah, they're like, who the heck's this guy? We're not talking to him anymore.
Yeah, I gotta earn my.
We're
my
gonna
stripes
get a
and
Roldis Chapman on right before he gets rolled by another hooker. Anyway,
I can't control him anymore, people.
the voice of reason is leaving. It's about to get real.
Gone. He's gonna get.
I'm about to become the Mon Valley's McAfee. It's on.
Listen, can I just want to. How many people are watching right now? There are four other people.
Four other people besides us.
To any of you four, okay? I know Delena's probably one of them. Please look after him for me. Please just watch him. Just make sure he doesn't get himself into too much trouble. He's way too valuable to the newspaper, way too valuable to this community.
I'll be getting text messages out of the blue. What were you thinking? Don't make me come back there.
I mean, I'm going to still be watching, so I'm going to make sure that
Delana, LMAO, I'm dead. See?
I'm going to be in the chat watching, and I'm going to be like, Jeremy, stop.
Stop it. We're going to once Jose's gone, chat disabled.
Chat disabled.
Delana
You're gonna get my
Delana can
every
send
5
him text
seconds.
Messages.
Every 5 seconds is gonna be me blowing up your phone. Like, don't do that. Stop it now.
Stop it.
Anyways, but we still got 2 more episodes of us and our shenanigans. So excited about that. Excited to cover some games over this next week and continue to provide some quality coverage for all of us in the Mon Valley. But anything else you guys want to touch on before we wrap things up?
I got nothing.
Shout out to my little Leps.
Yep.
1-1 on Saturday. Good win over Connellsville. And lost to Penn Trafford. But, keeping it real. We're not going to see Penn Trafford as we get older. I mean, there's 5A, 6A. We're good. But, shout out to them on a big win. I think we won 4 of our last 5. We're on a roll.
Hail Mighty Leopards.
Bye week this week. And then Mount Pleasant, revenge game. Big revenge game next Saturday night at 6. And then the Mighty Commodores on Sunday.
Delana is not applying for the job of being your babysitter.
There ain't nobody watching me. But shout out to Delana because she knows I'm gonna keep it 100, as they say. 100%. I'm giving you what I feel. You don't like my opinion. Sorry, that's on you. That ain't on me. But hey, I mean, you've reached your pinnacle when you have entire cities mad at you. I mean, you're doing your job.
Yeah.
I had Gabby Alexson last night interviewed me for her communications classes at Cal. And
nice.
She asked, she asked some advice. What would you? And I'd say, if you don't piss people off, you're not doing your job.
Sure.
I mean, that's the way I feel.
Yeah.
You pissed a couple people off in your day. So.
In my day, I mean, I'm sure there are people that aren't big fans of me. So,
Listen, this is a message to the Pittsburgh Pirates. Jose's going to be around. By God, do not close your eyes on your swing because he will hang you out to dry. I don't want no moms calling. No mommies.
I don't know if any of the Pirates' moms are going to be calling me.
Kutch's mom's always there.
Yeah, she's not.
Stop it.
I don't know.
Mama Kutch is going to come flip out.
She's going to be singing the national anthem so beautifully, and then she's going to
Listen, in fairness, I didn't
double ones up at the press box.
In fairness, I didn't even do that. That was not me. So
it wasn't me either.
But apparently,
whatever.
People like to go on my LinkedIn and then say that they don't want their kids to go to Cal because I went there, and that's
good times.
Just what a wild thing that was.
Those are the days.
What a wild experience that was. Anyways, as we move on, catch us again Monday, 12:30. Well, no,
12:30.
12:30. No, we'll go noon.
12:30.
12:30.
Alex is nodding at 12:30.
All right, 12:30 start on
Well,
Monday.
yeah, because I gotta take my freaking scruff ball to the vet.
Yeah.
At 11. So.
All right.
I should be here by 12.
So 12:30, we will be here, His Place Coffee Community and more, in Monessen for episode number 99, and then we will get ready for episode number 100 Wednesday. Time TBD over at Remixed by Steel City Collectibles in Bell Vernon. We'll have more information on that, but we definitely encourage all of you to come by, hang out with us, enjoy our 100th episode, and come say bye to me in terms of my time here on the VSG podcast. But any parting words, boys?
Anybody with any grievances, please air them to Jose by Wednesday.
Yeah, air them
Send
to me.
all the hate mail. Send it. Send it. That's
I'll
one of the
take it.
Bleacher Creatures' favorite comments to hear in the crowd at a soccer game. Send it.
I'll take
Anyway.
any emails that you have that you don't want to send to Jeremy. Send them to me for the next week and a half. And,
They have no problem sending them to me.
just send them to me, and then I'll forward them to Jeremy.
Yeah.
Anyways, but for Jeremy Slew, for Alex Lyons, I'm Jose Negron. Enjoy the rest of your Wednesday, everybody. We'll see you Monday right here, His Place Coffee Community and more.